Do you identify as disabled, and how do you feel about that identity?
I personally don't identify as disabled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always know if that word particularly applies to me or even if it's a good word, but I know that I have a different brain, so maybe I'm differently abled, I'd say.
At first, I feel very panic. I feel really embarrassed because of my diagnosis. But later on, I feel like I should embrace my true self. So I now learn to accept my identity. Yeah, it's part of me.
I do identify as disabled. I find disabled and disability a really neutral word. It's just an explainer word. It's not negative or positive.
I don't know, because it's like, for me, I always saw like a disability as something physical and something that you could see, and like, I don't know, someone would be in a wheelchair, or like someone, I don't know, would like be visibly blind, or like have a, you know, hearing aid, and you just can't see like my blood cells being deformed or anything like that. But at the same time, it does have a disabling effect on my life.
I do identify as disabled, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that I identify as less than anybody else or less capable of anybody else.
Short answer is yes, long answer is it's complicated. It's like some of the time.
I definitely reluctantly also do, but I'd say for me the most disabling part of it would be the stigma of people.
Yes, at this age I do identify as disabled because I'm actually deaf and I have cochlear implants in both ears.
It all kind of made sense, so I feel really validated in that identity. And I think with like disability, the connotations of that word is what you make of it. So yeah.
The interesting thing about being in any way disabled is it's a community everyone can join.
Yes, exactly.
We're open. So, you know, and the way life is, sooner or later you may find yourself as part of a disability community, whether it's through an accident or through genetics or anything. So why not make the world accessible to the people who really need it, because that benefits everyone.
I feel like grief is a big part of being disabled, or rather coming to terms with the fact that you're disabled.
I suppose I do. I think, maybe I feel ambivalent. I think the main thing for me is community. Like, if I belong to the disabled community, if I identify as disabled, as hearing impaired, I belong to that community, and it's a way for me to connect with people like me.
If your brain had a theme song, what would it be? That's a good one. I think it would be, this might be a bit of a throwback, but that Muppet song where it's like mana mana do 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 do.
I have two. They're less literal. There's, I don't know if anyone knows Lonely Accordion by Louis Danto, or Winter Soldier by Sammy Brew. They're both just sort of about loneliness, I suppose, because disability can be quite isolating. Even when you are surrounded by people, you do feel inherently sort of separate.
Immediately what comes to mind is like a monkey just clanging cymbals.
First thing that came to mind, and this was an old joke. There's Limp Bizkit did a song about it, but there's also an old country western song about it. It's like rollin', rollin', rollin'. Keep this wagon rolling.
And like a
Yeah.
especially when I wake up in the morning.
I think one song I found was called You'd Never Know by Blue Eyes. And I think it speaks to like the emotional impact of having chronic illness and disability.
You know the song like, I'm still standing.
Yeah. Elton John, yeah.
Yeah, that.
I am titanium. I know it's old, but yeah. Some time ago I fell down a mountain because I didn't see the rocks. And so I got titanium screws in my leg.
I don't know how appropriate it is,
But Hot and Cold by Katy Perry definitely feels, accurate. It would be great if she had added a section in that's like also tepid water, lukewarm, occasionally also, but for the most part, that definitely can stick.
Mine is Sweet Disposition by the Temper Trap, because I don't think many people think people with schizophrenia have a sweet disposition. But also I think because it shows you the moments of life and how important reality is.
For me, it's not like a theme song, but more like a theme album. So I was thinking of like the new Abnormal by The Strokes. So you can tell from the title that it's not about being normal. And the songs are really about, well, they're not really about being estranged, more so as they're about finding yourself and finding yourself in others. And I think that's what it means to live with a disability, is this constant journey of trying to search for who you really are.
My theme song would just be ASMR of like birds and the leaves rustling and traffic noise. Before I got my hearing aids, I didn't know that cars made noises.
Really?
Yeah. It's like alive. It's like, and that leaves make noises when you step on them.
Wow.
All that would be my theme song.
That's very poetic.
Are there any unexpected perks to having a disability? The car mobility parking permit.
Yeah, all-day parking's a good one.
Yep.
All-day parking's a good one. Also, it's not so much in Sydney anymore, but it seems to be a general thing because I'm in the US and wherever. Going to amusement parks and skipping the line.
If I have like my lanyard, and sometimes I also have a walking stick, if people visibly see me, if I'm standing in a line to like pay or in the line for the bus, people will give me the way. I think that's a perk.
If I'm having like a boring day where I'm like, I don't have anything to do today, I can not take my meds and I can unleash myself to the world of the internet.
You might have a bit of a different perspective on things as you go through life, which could give you some interesting angles.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think most of it is pretty much the same as anybody else could access.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because of course, the first answer is no. Are you kidding?
Scholarships are a really big one from the University of Sydney and outside sources.
Well, there are to cochlear implants because, as I said, when I take them off, I can't hear a thing. Now, there is a saying, silence is golden, and often it is.
No.
What's the most frustrating thing about having low or no vision? I can tell you good things about it.
There can be good things.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can name two of the most frustrating things. First of all, if there's somebody you really want to find in a crowd, or you want to network with, or you want to get to, or some place that you want to go to, there is a block. It can be much more difficult to do some of the things that you actually want to do, and I guess the main struggle with that is a feeling of suffocated autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is actually relating to sighted people in the way that sighted people properly understand the world. It feels a bit tricky to actually understand, especially in my case, since I don't really know what sight is like. That can be a bit of a stumbling block in the way that I relate to my sighted peers.
The most frustrating thing about it's lack of understanding. People say, well, look, there's your car over there. Didn't you see it? And I said, no. Don't you remember? I'm blind.
Is the hardest part of your disability that it's invisible or that people act like it's imaginary? That's an interesting question.
So imagine that I am sick and I can't take medicine for it. I can't sleep over it. And if you just say that, oh, you don't look sick, just sleep over it and get better tomorrow, just because your broken bone is inside your body, it's inside a cast, the cast is the only thing that's telling people, oh, this person is injured. That's the same as me, that I don't look sick, but I have a lot of broken and not broken things inside me.
I feel like that I'm able to make it not an obvious part of my identity, and that comes with an interesting set of pros and cons. On one hand, I'm not discriminated against as much, but on the other hand, it is more of a suffer in silence type situation, where people who you would consider quite close to you get suddenly quite surprised when your disability becomes visible when it's usually not visible.
Yeah, it's tricky because you know, obviously epilepsy is purely in here and has nothing outwardly physical, so it's a bit difficult explaining to people that I have to go home and sleep during the day. Yeah.
It's not that people think bipolar itself is imaginary, but they think how hard it is imaginary.
Is the chair full-time, or do you get to clock out sometimes? I think for me, I'm an ambulant wheelchair user, and so that means I can walk with crutches, which I do at home, but it's funny because some people don't realize that not all wheelchair users can do that. One time I went to my church with crutches, and then you could see all their faces drop. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, it's not a miracle, guys.
Do you ever try to hide your disability, or do you let it shine? Or it's an interesting question.
There are some times when I can't not let it shine because it just is fundamentally who I am.
Exactly.
So some of those traits that are common to it, you know, they'll just come out whether I like it or not.
I don't try to hide the neurofibromatosis because people tend to be more understanding of that one. They don't tend to judge you for having a genetic condition. But for Asperger's, autism, I typically don't tell people because I usually get, oh, you don't seem autistic.
Yeah, at first I try to hide my identity. I try to hide my disability because disability is kind of a taboo topic in my country. So people don't really understand that. People don't have that recognition.
I like to let it shine when I'm around like my comfort people, because like they know the deal. They know it's who I am, and they liked me before.
I let it shine because I think that if used correctly, it allows us to become better people, and it can also inspire the people around us to break barriers and themselves become better people.
I think I let it shine. I think I like to do my thing. I'm not really sure how I could... I mean, I do tend to mask, especially with people that I don't know. But with people who I get close with or people who I'm getting to know, I feel like I always just slide in with the, hey, I have autism. And it's always been fine.
I love to tease people, I guess. I talk to them, I have a conversation for 5 or 10 minutes or more who haven't met me before. And then I say to them, do you know I'm deaf? And they look at me really surprised because they have no idea. And I can understand why. And it's a credit to cochlear implant technology, I think.
Stealth mode. I don't think I let it shine, so to speak. It's not like my
special trick.
My jazz hands, my special trick. Definitely on a dating profile, I'm not like, wow.
I found that, I don't know if it's the same for you, but when I do let people know, it makes us closer, you know?
Right.
The trust is there, and also like everything that they could before attribute to, you know, distraction or malice or something like that, they can now attribute to just me not picking up what they're saying or me not hearing what they're saying or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Does being neurodivergent limit your academic achievement?
I don't really think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's more of a case of if you have the same materials and it's all equitable, then
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I think it's lucky to be in a university in 2025.
Oh.
And yeah, no, it doesn't limit your academic achievement because the one thing that's still working is your brain.
I do part-time at the moment, and it does suck because especially when you're doing psychology and you know if you want to do like your masters and stuff, it's like a long road to go.
I don't feel like it's limited my academic achievement, but I feel like the way that courses are modelled and like the modes of learning are
kind of attuned to one type of brain?
I would say I don't know. I would say no, but it does limit my ability to do basically everything else.
It adds more work that you have to do by yourself. Like I have to go home and watch the lectures again, see what I missed. So maybe it doesn't limit what I can do, but it adds to the amount of work I have to do.
Even at my best, I have to come to terms with that I can do really well, but I need to have more realistic expectations of what really well is for me. And that can be really hard when you were an overachiever, like growing up and
Stop.
Sorry.
No,
Too
it's
real.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it better for someone to offer help or just silently panic nearby? If in doubt, ask about.
Oh, look, it's better for them to ask in I think most situations if it looks like the person doesn't know where they're going. Sometimes there is a bit of a barrier to like if we are a bit unsure, we may not ask for help, but we may need it, but we may not realize we need it. If we're in danger, please help us.
Yeah, definitely, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
If people can see I'm struggling, I would like some help. If I've said pardon twice or I beg your pardon twice, it means that the word is just escaping me. And I would like someone to pipe up with an alternative word or just say it louder.
For me, the biggest difference was all the accommodations I needed, like people holding microphones and, speaking up and looking at me and letting me lip read. The lecturers who were the best were the ones who had no shame about it. Like if they needed to use a mic, and if there was a group discussion, they needed to bring that mic over to somebody like a student who wanted to share something, they would just stride over. They wouldn't feel ashamed. They're like, oh, excuse me, oh, so sorry, would you mind? No, they'd be like, just confidently, this isn't a big deal. That's the biggest thing for me. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That changed how I approach services as well.
What's one thing that teachers do that makes your life harder, even if they mean well, Seth?
It's a very delicate balance between doing too much and doing too little. I think that's the one thing that makes it a bit harder is that sometimes they can over-explain things, or other times they can under-explain things to try to compensate if I say that. Otherwise, that's a very small thing. Everything else that they do so far has been extremely helpful.
Nothing.
It sometimes makes my life harder when teachers say things that are hurtful even if they don't mean it. I guess it's important for me to recognize that they're always trying to do their best and that they try to do their best for their students, and that's helped me a lot.
What does it feel like when your brain has a mind of its own?
Oh.
Well, I wish that I could tell. That would be
like that's kind of the whole point of the disability.
Yeah. If I did, but there's something called agnosia with schizophrenia where it's that you're unable to know that you're unwell. So that's when that's why I take so much time and energy to make sure that I'm compliant with what I need medication-wise. That's everyone's choice. In my life, it takes a lot of work to be well, but I am. And that's because I just cannot stand what it feels like to not know that you're unwell.
It's the finding out afterwards. It sometimes feels like I'm a backseat driver in my own head. And even I myself can be throwing out like, something feels off about this. Something feels a bit strange. Maybe this is wrong, but it's just not loud enough and it's just not strong enough that I end up having to be informed by other people like it's happening again.
What do you do that people assume you can't?
Most things, actually. People see you in a chair and they assume things about you. Quite often it involves mental capacity.
For some reason, people just kept telling me like, oh, you don't have to study, you can just do something easy, like something that will make you happy, which I didn't understand. And it kind of just made me go like, I want to finish my degree.
Yeah.
I want to challenge your assumptions.
I can do most things that some people like may not think that I can do. For example, like playing an instrument. For some reason, people think that they look at their hands when they play the piano. They don't. It's very funny. Or they look at their keyboard when they're typing. If you really want to type quickly, you shouldn't. But I guess the main things is, at least in my world, is navigating independently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people have some rightfully based concept that it is so difficult that we tend not to do it. But thanks to the advancements in orientation and mobility training, and the advancements of technology, it's actually much easier than you would think. We can live as part of the greater society, like
that's
within
right.
it.
It's nice.
We
Yeah,
don't have to
very
be
nice.
separated from it at all.
That's true. That's really nice. Yes.
When I was first diagnosed with my condition, my doctor told me that I couldn't go to school. He said you had to take a break from school, and then you can't go back to school because of your condition, and you need some time to heal, and some time to get used to the medications and stuff like that. And then when I went back to school, I had this feeling that I didn't deserve to be in the school.
Really?
Yeah, that I wasn't fit to go to school.
Really?
And I think that just by being here and having gone through school and through my exams and finishing one semester, I've proved to my doctor and to the people around me that I deserve to be here and that I can be here, despite my condition, that I can still strive and be able to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah, awesome. Did you prove it to yourself as well?
I proved it to myself as well, yeah.
Educate yourself about disability, its history, and the language around it. And ultimately, it's because anyone can become disabled at any time.